call where we discuss all different DevOps related items of Meshery, like CI/CD pipelines, workflows, testing, unit testing, integration test, and all that important stuff, which is very important for the consistency and growth of a project. So before we get into the actual meeting, let's take care of your housekeeping item. That is, first ensure that if you are in the meeting, then do write your name in the meeting attendees list. I've already shared the link in the chat to ensure that your name is listed. Um, Before we move forward, let's ensure that all the newcomers are given a chance to introduce themselves. So let's see. Um, David, are you new on the call? Would you like to introduce yourself? Okay, probably David is having some network issues. So Chandra Vijay, are you new on this call? Would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, hello, Pranav. No, actually, I'm not a newcomer. I have attended a bunch of these meetings in the past, and in fact, 2 to 3 months before I have joined this.
So you're saying you were like away for 2-3 months?
Yeah, actually, I have joined 2 3 months ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I have attended this meeting bunch of times.
Okay. 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 Yana Gupta, are you new on this call? Would you like to introduce yourself?
No, I attended one before.
You have already attended a CI/CD call before?
Yeah, once I attended.
Okay. Vaibhav, are you new on this call? Okay, so Vaibhav is introducing himself on the chat. And Aryan Sharma, are you joining this call for the first time? Would you like to introduce yourself to other people? Hopefully, I'm audible, right? Like I'm not seeing any response from anybody. Gopi, I think you
Yes.
have joined after a few while. So would you like to introduce yourself?
Okay. So, hello everyone. This is Gopi Vaibhav. I'm actually a past contributor. Like I used to contribute in February 2023. But then because of our academics, I couldn't able to contribute very frequently. So I took a break, and we are having a holiday right now. So I'm back to this community again. And I work on Monstack,
Well,
Django, Golang, Docker, Kubernetes, and all. Like, I mean, though I'm a beginner in Kubernetes, I'm learning in the way journey of contributing here.
nice to meet you. We're glad that you have joined this call after a long time. So let's get started with the first item on our meeting agenda, that is Meshery test plan. So those who are new, let me give you a little bit of context of what this is. Like Meshery as an extensible manager actually have a lot of distributed components. And for testing each of the components, there are different set of tests under each repository of different components. So let's say Meshery has this custom controller, let's say Meshery operator, and it's in the separate repository. And for testing the functionality of that, the test would be in that repo, not under the Meshery. Similarly, Meshery also have some components like adapters. For each Meshery adapter, there is like there are different adapter. Let's say Meshery Istio adapter, and the testing for that would go under Meshery Istio. And similarly, the function since functionality of each adapter is different, so there would be different set of tests for each of them. And yeah, so this spreadsheet basically gives an overview of like different kinds of tests that run on Meshery. Especially, let's say if we talk about Meshery CTL, which is an Meshery have a different set of clients, whether it's a UI or it's CTL, which is Meshery CTL, and Meshery CTL have a lot of different functionalities. And let's say if you want to start Meshery system, then you will do Meshery system start. Now, if that command fails, then Meshery won't be starting, right? So it's always very crucial to test the basic functionality of all the different components. And now if we talk about this first column, first row, it talk about the installation of Meshery through Meshery CTL under the Kubernetes platform. And this specific test would be taking care of the scenario where Meshery would be starting on a Kubernetes cluster. And what action it would be performing would be internally, it would be using a bash script to install all the Meshery binaries, and the expected outcome should be this. And basically it highlights all the different scenarios of the test, and it then specifies whether the test is covered under the E2E test or not. So those who are new, those who don't know, like E2E basically means its full form is end-to-end testing, which means like one of the smallest functionality, like the complete functionality of this particular feature is tested under that thing. So for example, like we are trying to install Meshery. So we won't just be testing the function of install, we would be testing every other feature, like when Meshery boots up, whether it's able to talk to the, whether it's able to like install all its components, and at the same time it's able to expose the services and stuff like that. So that's a gist of what E2E is. And so this session basically gives overview of different test scenarios and whether they're being covered in our testing current test cases or not. And like we have discussed this, like this area requires a lot of um, love from our contributors, because this is very crucial. And at the same time, like testing usually gets left out because people try to keep on pushing features and this gets left out. So we really need to ensure that we take care of these things. And we have been seeing good work from Philip and Fidish in this area recently. So we'll see that. But anybody, okay, one more thing, like this is one thing. The second thing is the other sheet in this spreadsheet, that is the mesh. It's the automated test and build. What this gives an overview of like what different actions each repo of Meshery has and what's the function of that. So let's say if we talk about build and release. So there is an action in, so this basically gives you an overview of, let me go to this link. Okay, it's not going. Let me directly go. So if we go to Meshery and okay. So under Meshery, there would be a workflow for building Meshery on each release. So if we go to that workflow, okay. So one thing to be noticed is that so there are two type of releases for there are two release channels for Meshery. One is the stable release, another is the edge release. So whenever every new PR is merged, Meshery makes an edge release, which basically is like all the latest functionality are directly released into the edge release channel of Meshery, which basically is for those users who are really looking forward to the latest functionalities of Meshery instantly, and it's quite helpful for like for our beta users as well as for early testing of new features. The other is stable release. So let me show you. Okay. This was a release. Basically, what it does is that it builds our docs and it builds the GraphQL docs. API docs and GraphQL docs are two different things. Then it builds a Docker image of the specific edit release, and then it pushes to Docker Hub, adds the specific tags. And similarly for our stable release as well, though there are a couple of extra things over here. Like we also check our CTL. Meshy CTL is also Meshy CTL binaries are also added into the stable release. Then we ensure that we also build our Docker desktop extension. So Meshery, like in case you missed it, like last year during DockerCon, Meshery released its own Docker extension, which is like an instantaneous way of working with Meshery. So like if you go to your Docker Hub and you search Meshery, you would be able to like download Meshery directly onto your Docker desktop in case you are interested in using the extension of Meshery. It's like exact same features, but inside of this Docker extensions UI. So this part of this workflow step is about that. Then, like, if you are like if you have joined the Meshery's mailing list, then you would like whenever Meshery release is successful, then a new release notes are sent to all the Meshery contributors and maintainers onto a specific mailing list, and this final part of the workflow is for that. So yes, so that was like a very high level overview of what this thing is about. This edge release and stable release. So in case you want to learn more about it, then docs actually explain this in much more detail. So yes. Okay, so basically this was that, and we also have a couple of other workflows which are explained here. So before we move forward, like I wanted to ask like who are interested in pushing forward with these tests. So the basic thing is like if you're interested in working on any of these, what you have to do is you have to first you should be creating an issue on that. You can link your issue over here on a new row, and then any of the maintainers will assign you that issue, and then you can start working on it. So yes, like based on who are on the call, who would like to take the initiative in this? Anybody interested?
Gopi
Oh,
is.
sorry. I guess it's you're not seeing the chat, so I'm unmuting
Oh,
myself.
sorry. Yeah, okay, I
Uh,
understand. Yes. So that's great. So you can like you can get started with like you can start with one of the first items over here and quickly get started working on it. And if I don't think there would be any issue for it right now, so you can create an issue for the very first thing, and then we can move forward with that. So
yes.
yes, okay, great. Okay, I'm sure. And okay, so next, let's move on to our next item. That is from Philip on low mesh-SQL code coverage report. So, Philip, would you like to share your screen?
For now, real quick, just gosh, I just missed the name. Sorry, Ashu. Ashu is just volunteering as well for putting his name on one of those tests. So, Ashu, if you have access to the spreadsheet, you should be able to make a comment on the one that interests you, and then that way we can get your. Actually, the thing that would be really helpful is not only to get your name in here, but to just crack open a quick GitHub issue to be able to track the fact that you're working toward it. And so.
Thanks, Lee. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just trying to look for the sheet in the drive.
Yeah, if you're in the meeting minutes, it's in the meeting minutes as well. But you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right. It is in the drive. It's just that, yeah, there's a lot of documents in there, and so sometimes it's difficult to. By the way, I think now that I've interrupted, I just wanted to say that Philip, is he on the call? Probably, yeah. He's been super consistent about unit tests, and I suspect for some of unit tests specifically in Meshery CTL. So he's been spending a fair bit of time inside of that CLI, inside of that set of Golang. And as he writes those tests, he has to have some level of comprehension of what the command is for and what it's supposed to do, and what it's not supposed to do. And so it would seem to me that for those that are relatively new to, well, especially the world of Docker and Kubernetes and service mesh and all the things, well, it's daunting. You don't need to necessarily know any of that stuff. Most of us don't, so that doesn't stop the rest of us. But what I was trying to call out is that Philip is probably a great resource to ask questions of if you start to, if you're taking on a specific test, chances are he might have had a couple of unit tests there as well. And so the integration tests that you might bring forth or would flex or would invoke or implicate the same unit tests that he's written. And so, yeah, it's just a good way to parlay, a good way to maybe extend what he's done, not necessarily in the same way, not necessarily, not writing unit tests in Go, but Pranav, the intention here is that many of these would be written just either like in Bash or using one of our GitHub workflows, something like that.
Yeah, they should be like covered in an already existing ETB test. Like there is a workflow for this specific case, though it's written in Golang, but so yeah, that's the thing.
Nice. Okay. But yeah, but there are, if you're not comfortable with Golang, then there's tons of ways within the GitHub workflows to just use the tool itself, to run the command itself and identify the expected outcome. The nice thing, the difference or the nice thing about doing that is, well, end to end is the phrase that we use here. So the level of tests that occur invoke or involve many different components, which is different than unit tests. And so, yeah, you don't have to use Golang to do the end-to-end test. So, or Bash. You don't even have to use Bash. We have existing GitHub actions for Meshery CTL specifically. And I don't know if Subedi is on the call. He just got his maintainer badge, which is great. He's dealt a lot with Meshery CTL and GitHub actions. He's a good one to reference as well. I'll put his name into Slack or into Zoom chat.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm just presenting a particular CI report I discovered. I've been working on some unit testing for Meshery CTL, and I've been doing some analysis on it, and I discovered that most of these test rates are still at the same percentage. Looking at the filter unit test, the filter package, sorry, and the pattern package, I observed that the metrics hasn't increased at all. The numbers are still the same. They've not increased. A few weeks back, I created a particular pull request here on Meshery CTL's filter, and the values here I could see here, they are still the same. The values, sorry, they're still the same values here in the same report here. So, yeah, so they still have the same values as the one I created a few weeks back. Now, I made changes and I had to create some new unit tests for the filter package. And once I did that, the test passed and everything was generated. But I expect that the metrics would have increased, the percentage would have increased in the code coverage. So it didn't increase at all. So I have to create a particular issue here. I have to create a particular issue here. So looking at the total coverage for Meshery CTL, it's still 15%. Some other packages to like config, it has very low code coverage. There's no code coverage at all, and there are a lot of unit tests written there, and those unit tests passed. So that's what I observed. So I'm suggesting if we could view the code core YAML file, if possible, or the GitHub workflow to see if it's possible that the data in the test files are being processed very well. So that's what I feel. and that has been my observation of recent.
Yep, kind of frustrating because you'd like to be able to track the code coverage increase, right? You'd like to be able to track progress.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's still at 15%. Still, and looking at the graph, you could see a lot of things here. If you look at the values, it's only root to go that seems to have much coverage. But if you do the average and the total, it all ends up in 15%. Then also to the PKG package, this here, it has no code coverage at all. It's just 0%. Maybe because there are no really test files there, which I've observed. But still, the main one is from the root package because that's where all the functions and components work for Meshery CTL. So maybe we should just look at the YAML file to see if there can be any configurations made or adjustments made to be able to detect this test very well. That's what I'm suggesting. I don't know if like you mentioned, Subedi, I think he's the one who does and knows this GitHub workflows. Or Pranav can also help with this, and we can work together to solve it for anyone. Anyone else can also help because we really need to hit that 80% code cover margin.
Yeah, there's another individual. He's actually a Meshery CTL maintainer. He'd been with us for almost a couple of years. And because of that, he just got his first job at Citi, actually. His name's Aditya, just like the other 132 Adityas that we have.
Oh, yeah, it's him I'm referring to. Okay, it's not Subedi.
Oh, yeah, not in this case, probably not. But like, yeah, the guy that you're referring to, his GitHub handle is something like Alpha X86.
Alpha X, yeah, Alpha X, yes. He's the one I'm referring to. Alpha X, yes, he's the one.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he was just active, I think, today in Slack. So he's definitely a good one to connect with. Yeah, I'm curious as to whether or not maybe our org or our repo, maybe it needs a reconnection. Maybe the like, is any of this dated? Can we see? It says the last 3 months, but okay, as of like last year or
on the graph here, I can see August 7, but it's not clear.
yeah, it
Not
looks
clear.
like 2023.
But this is the merged. This is the master branch. It's the master branch, latest commit. At least as of yesterday or today, yeah. It is.
Yeah. I don't know that I've got further insight here, but yeah, we could always look at a different tool as well, or we could try reauthorizing the app, the CodeCov app. It looks like it's firing and invoking. You might, yeah, I don't know what else could you do. If it's looking at other branches, potentially, you could create a branch, delete like all the test cases just as a test, see if a dramatic change happens, or if nothing changes here, then, there really wasn't any, at least in so much as I recall, there really wasn't anything much that we did to initialize CodeCov. It was more like authorize the app. And
yeah, yes, I observed that because it's I always see CI passed, but sometimes there are some errors generated in these unit tests, like those ones that I have to correct. So yeah, so it's not really reading that test data. That's why I feel. But I think I'll do that. I will delete the files once I'm done, create a pull request, then I will observe that.
okay.
I think we recently also like restructured our main directory also. Like that could be the reason we might have forgotten to change that in our workflow. Very recently we changed the way we structure our directories.
Okay. Okay, so I'll be in touch with Aditya. Just that sometimes he's very hard to reach. He rarely replies message, but I'll keep on speaking with him. But Pranav, we can also speak together on this too. We can speak together on this.
Yeah, there's
So,
another
like,
guy.
I'll look into it. Yeah.
Yeah, the thing I'll be forthright on a couple of things. One is, yeah, I agree. I recently asked Aditya, hey, is he still going to uphold his maintainer responsibilities, or is it time for him to graduate and move on? And he wants to try to stick it through. So be public when you're asking him, and we're taking notes. Like, and I hope that he upholds his responsibilities, and I really want him to. But Philip, yeah, at some point, if he's not being responsive, or if he doesn't come to meetings, or if he doesn't review PRs, or like at some point, he's just somebody else needs to take the helm. It's one thing. The second thing is I'll inject myself and say, Pranav's plate is overflowing. It really is. I won't even go through the list of things that he's doing because I'll miss, like, it's a lot. And so that said, there's an individual on the call who is going to be really surprised when I say his name, because he'll be like, I don't know why I'm being put on the spot. And I just showed up here, but Vehab Malik is, here to help, and probably doesn't know a thing about CodeCov, nor spent much time with Meshery CTL. It doesn't really matter. Someone with a high enough IQ to just engage with Philip and to help Philip work through it, and to diagnose, maybe to ask some questions of CodeCov, the app itself. Maybe they've got a discussion forum, sort of seek it out from that end first to see if there's an issue in the reports. Maybe it's them, start there, come back. Maybe you guys need a PR, just like a test workflow, something that has a different setting, or maybe they archived like an old version of their workflows and then we forgot to upgrade or something. Like, could be any number of things. But just having a partner, having someone to work off of is really nice for me. And so, Vehab is, if Vehab, so of what you're saying, are you saying, hey, you think you can engage and ask questions and try to help, or do you think that you don't have time just yet? You need to wait until September. You can always use your voice to respond. So Suhail,
Hello.
there he is.
Hi, I'm Vaibhav. Actually, currently I'm working on my GSOC project, and it is the 11th week right now. So I just need 2 more weeks to, you know, get more, engage more with the Meshery community, and I'll get started with unit testing probably in first or second week of September. So until then, I can always engage on Slack and help others if they need help with like setting up GitHub issues or something. So
Sure. Yeah.
that
Oh, makes perfect sense. Yeah, you've got a pre-existing commitment. Yeah, very good, but good intentions toward once that commitment is over. So great. No problem. Suhail, you're here and dedicated to this particular area. So thank you for raising your hand. Suhail will reach out to Philip today. You guys will take a quick look. Yeah, do put some of the burden on CodeGov.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll do that.
Okay, so next item is from Yana on fix for test delete filter command. So would you like to discuss this and share your screen?
Yeah, I'm sharing my screen. Is my screen visible?
Yep.
So, so there are some tests into filter in Meshery CTL, so they are failing. So I just wanted to know whether these uh, in these golden text files, these are just added, hard coded, or like they are just generated. Uh,
Yep. Yeah. Philip might be able to very quickly answer it. I think they're just hard coded, and that's what I don't like about them.
Well, it's just hard coded. It's looking at Meshery CTL, it's a command line. It's a command line, so they are more like outputs being generated. Because looking at the commands in Meshery CTL, they all have to take in JSON files, and this kind of formats are written in golden files. If you read the documentation very well, like I sent you a link on the Slack channel. If you read it very well, you will see how you generate and you generate the output and also the response to. If you have more questions, we can discuss more on Slack. I think so I can make it clear to you. That's fine.
so if they are just generated, then like there is just a minute difference into like all both of these.
Okay.
So I have created a PR that just add space in to just match these both strings that will fix it this failing test. So
So okay, that
this is
PR
the PR.
that PR still shows the same thing. Whether you create the space or not, it still passes the test. That's what it does. I think we'll just discuss more on Slack, both of us, so we can get an understanding for this particular aspect.
Yes. So what Philip is saying that first of all, we don't need to hard code it. It's generated from HTCTL output command. So, and if you like currently what I can see on the your changes on the PR. So let me share the screen for a minute. So like for generating this golden file, right, Philip was suggesting that there is a specific command for that. So once you make use of it, then it's fine. We can move forward with the change. And I think there was a thread on Discuss forum as well, which you can make use of for learning about the specific skill of generating golden files. And yeah, so though through currently the change looks fine because it's just the end line character which you have removed. So yes,
Okay, thank you.
okay, okay. Moving on is an item for Friedish on exposing Prometheus service external to cluster. Friedish, would you like to discuss this item?
Sure, sure. All right. Okay. Um, okay, sure. Currently in currently in Meshery, like if you try to connect your Prometheus instance on inside of Meshery, there is an error of connectivity, and for I mean it was like an issue like previously, and yeah, I actually forgot to fix it, but yeah, I replaced the node port for I mean present in the Prometheus like in the Prometheus YAML by the node by a load balancer and just to like use the external IP from that load balancer instead of Meshery. So if I recall, the issue was saying to like expose it on port 9000, so and make a Meshery host to access it at port 9000. So I'm yet to do that. Yeah. So this is a quick one.
Okay, so you're mentioning that you need to expose one of the service so that it can talk to Meshery running pod, and then we
Yeah,
would be
yeah,
able
yeah,
to see this. Okay,
yeah, yeah. Present
so
inside. But
yeah.
is there anything? Any
Yeah.
question?
No, go for it.
Okay,
What were you saying?
okay. So I was saying that I just like I ran a test like yesterday night, and yeah, and I was actually able to access it on. Well, I wanted to show you that on Windows right now.
For those who are new on the call, let me give you a quick overview. I'll just share my screen for 1 second. That
Sure.
is, so if if you all missed that, that is Meshery has its own separate deployment of Playground, which is like a full-blown deployment of Meshery, which also have a pre-configured Kubernetes cluster. And basically, this deployment is running on CNCF hosted environment, which basically helps for learning about different cloud native projects, which Meshery integrates with. And basically, Meshery actually integrates with 200 plus different CNCF projects and other open source projects. So that's one thing. But this is inside of Meshery repo. You can check that. And basically, this gives you, this is from the Meshery's architecture deck, which and what is one of the slides, and it gives you an overview of the deployment architecture of the specific playground deployment. So what is the issue? The thing at hand is that Meshery is running on Docker host, which is on one of the VMs, and there is a second VM on which Kubernetes is running. It's a single node Kubernetes cluster, and this cluster is not exposed to the outside world. So only this VM is exposed at this IP address. And the thing is that this software host is talking to this Kubernetes cluster internally. And the ask for Kubernetes is that there should be a pre-configured Prometheus and Grafana, so which is running in this cluster, so that Meshery can actually talk to all the node to all the metrics exported by those, and it can show it on its graph, whether it's in visualizer or specifically just Meshery UI. So that was the issue. So anybody have any question on this thing that Pradesh can share his other items? Anybody who has already tried Meshery Playground so far? Okay, so nobody is interacting. Okay, so Pradesh, you can move forward with your next item. I think you
Okay,
have one more,
so
right?
yeah. Okay, actually, that one is more for Yash. Like, he's working on an issue to like
Okay.
replace the current node exporter to the one that extract the matrix by to find another alternative to that. So yeah. So I don't know. Like, is he, maybe we'll talk about that.
Yash, would you like to talk about that item on which you are working on? Any progress you have?
Hello, hope I'm audible.
Yes. Yes, you are.
Yeah, so I'm just sharing my screen.
Hmm.
I hope it's visible.
Yes, it is.
Yes. So giving the just giving the context on the issue I'm currently working on is just adding the useful metrics on the Meshery playground. So the current behavior, what now we are having in the Meshery playground is we are using node exporter, which whenever a cluster or pods or things like that spins up, it actually takes out the telemetry data, and it's been shown with the help of Prometheus. So the desired behavior, what we want is we need an additional matrix need to be added for the better monitoring of the cluster and related services. So I was just looking around other exporter which we can use with Prometheus in order to get the like better control of better vision over our cluster and pods. And I have come up with one exporter which is called black box exporter. So what this black box exporter does is it actually allow approving over our endpoints over the all the HTTPS, DNS, TCP/IP, and gRPC protocols. So we can which we are actually integrating and which we are actually using in our like service meshes. So if you guys have any other suggestions on what else we can use other than these two, so let me know. Guys, do you
I
guys?
have one suggestion. Like, I would like to ask if Adina would like to talk about this, like based on her experience.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Probably no. So let me tell you one more thing, that is, um, like if you have used Meshery before, then if you have connected to, let me show you one thing. So if you have connected to any of the Meshery's adapter, let's say if we talk about Meshery's Istio adapter, then it actually gives you an option to install Grafana and Prometheus with just one toggle of the button. And internally, it actually talks to the default configuration of these from Istio Service Mesh. So have you explored these? If you can make use of that, because I've used them a number of times on my cluster and worked perfectly fine.
Yes. Actually, I was just like playing around with Prometheus. Like I have deployed Prometheus with the help of this ST adapter, and I've taken help of Frederick, I guess, if I'm pronouncing his name right. And yes, I'm just exploring more on this.
I was just suggesting, like, if you can look into these add-ons from our adapter, and probably that would make your work a little easier, because they already bring a basic functionality which we can use. You don't even have to like create any new charts, because they come up with some standard chart from each to service mesh, which you can make use of.
Yes. So like, do you have any other suggestions? What else we can use other than node exporter? Just scrape out all the telemetry data from the cluster and pods.
Anybody have more suggestions other than our Istio adapter? I would suggest you to use this and explore around this, because I've used them, so I'm comfortable with them. Anybody have any other experience regarding this that they would like to share? Okay, so probably you can take more suggestion on Slack, because if nobody is currently having any new suggestions, so let's move back to our um, meeting agenda. And next item is from, I think Subedi is not on the call. Uh, okay, so next is from Suhail on pre-commit hook and duplicacy of error codes. Suhail, would you like to talk on this?
Yeah, I'm sure. So throughout our Meshery repo, we use Meshery errors. So basically, in Meshery errors, we have like fields which define Meshery error codes, and its details like code severity and description. So uh, we were we are having a flow that check for Meshery error duplicacy. So if there are any duplicacy, that workflow fails, and our error docs don't get generated. So basically, this PR is a fix for that. Uh, in Meshery server, uh, uh, I have I have removed all the Meshery error duplicacy with respect to error details and error codes. And in hand with that, I've also created another PR that check for Meshery error duplicacy whenever a contributor commits changes. So a pre-commit hook will be running for checking the Meshery error duplicacy, and also I have changed the workflow file to check on every pull request on master. So if there are any review that can be here.
Looks good to me. Anybody have any more suggestions for Suhail? For those who are new, let me give a more context on this. Probably, like for those who are new, let me tell you one thing that is, yep. So mesh, okay, it's Meshkit. Okay, so what Meshkit is like? Meshkit is a small library which includes all the reusable functions for different components of Meshery, whether it's Meshery adapters, whether it's Meshery or Meshery operator, Meshery CTL, stuff like that. Basically, anything which can be reused across different components of Meshery is usually put into this repo, and it has um, one of the main feature of this is like logging. So Meshery actually implements this Meshery have an Meshery error functions. What it does is that it helps to create standard functions for any anything that anything that needs to be reported to Meshery users through this standard Meshery functions. So what it gives is that um, it has things like probable cause, remedy, um, the error that happened, short description and long description. So basically, standard schema for defining errors, which would be used by Meshery. So what Suhail was just talking about is that he created a workflow which actually checks on each PR whether there is any problem in the error codes which are defined. So let's say if you created a new function for Meshery, let's say which it's install something, it's install let's say Prometheus, and you created an error code that is error 100, and some new contributor comes in and they define a new functionality. Let's say they create new functionality for deploying Prometheus from Grafana, and they define the error code same as 1000. So that will cause an issue, and just to fix that thing, so there are no duplicates error codes. This workflow will basically look for that and ensure that these duplicates are not performed, and these are catch hold beforehand. And one more thing to let everybody know is that if you go to Meshery docs specifically at this URL, it will give you a high level overview of different error codes which are defined. Let's say this specific code is for Meshery's Nginx adapter, and it's about like config is missing for specific installation. Similarly, we have for other components as well, whether if we talk about Meshery server, so it gives you overview different things like probable codes, which I was just talking about. This suggests a remediation that should be taken in that case, and the description and stuff. So that is what Suhail was talking about. Though we require much, we have talked this a number of times that we need to really improve this UI and ensure that we first of all never miss out filling this, because that's not good. So that's all about mesh kit errors and how these things behave in different scenarios. So any questions on this thing from anybody on mesh kit errors or any of the workflows that generate the documentation? I'll wait for 1 second, and then if nobody has question, then I can move forward. Okay. So moving on, hopefully we'll get this merged and ensure that no duplicates are there in Meshkit error which are defined in Meshy server. Suel, are you also looking forward to creating this on other components like Meshy adapters or operators and other stuff? Or because currently just for Meshy server?
I have done for Meshery CTL too. I will look for Meshery adapters next.
Okay, that's good. Um, okay, so let's give you a quick overview of this thing. What this is? This is one of the GitHub actions of Meshery. Um, the work of okay, so those who are new, that is, see if you go to any of the PRs on Meshery, you'll see that this GitHub action gives you this a screenshot of this Meshery's Helm chart. So this is actually coming from this GitHub action, which internally uses Meshery. So what this is like, so the work of this action is to actually give on each new PR on your repo, it will give you the diff that is there for your infrastructure. So yeah, you can visually see what changes have been done in your infrastructure, and based on that, you can understand whether you should merge or not merge your PRs. So that's a very high gist of this. So in case you want to get want to set up this thing, then you should go to a Meshy Cloud account. So in case you haven't already gone there, let me quickly show you that how you can connect this to your repos, so that whenever a new PR is made to your repo, then you would see this screenshot of the infrastructure changes on your each PR. So while that loads, okay, so let me give you more context of the what the call for volunteer over here is, that we require volunteers who can create add this specific GitHub action to all of the Meshery's repo. Currently, just set up for Meshery repo under Meshery org, but we ask this to create the same action under all the repositories of Meshery, because if you go to Meshery org, you'll actually see there are a lot of different repo. I think there are more than 20, I think. So basically, you have to go to each repo and add the GitHub action. So what action I'm talking about is, let me quickly show you. If you go to github.com, .github directly, and if you go to workflows, you will see a mesh map action, this one. So this is the action which actually looks for the specific directory on your repo, and based on the changes in that directory, it will give you a screenshot of the infrastructural changes. So yes, now I'll quickly show you how to you can connect your repo to it. So if you could go to workspaces, you go to connections, you can connect. So that was quick. So what you have to do is, if you go to Meshery, your Meshery Cloud account, you can click on this connect button. It will show you this connection wizard, and basically it will allow you to connect your GitHub account to Meshery Cloud, and then you can select the repos and add the specific application path which you would like for this workflow to look out for, and then you can add your secrets, and then the workflow will be auto committed to your repo, and then it will start looking out for infrastructure changes. So yes, and that's it. Any question on this workflow? Anybody would like to volunteer to ensure that this workflow is added to all the repos? This would be a great way to getting started with workflows, because it's a very straightforward thing. Like, anybody interested in taking this?
Excuse me, Pranav.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hello?
Could you just go through it again? Where is the repo? And yeah, because I am in GitHub and I'm trying, to figure out what were your clicks, but I can't see them again, please.
Okay. Yes, sure. So So I was talking about this GitHub action, which is under Layer 5 Labs Meshmap snapshot. Let me give you a link in the chat. So this is the action which I was talking about. The work of this action is to look out for changes in specific directories. Now, how you can connect to it is like you have to go to this Meshery Cloud account. Um, I'll send the link in the chat. So when you go to this connections workspace, you can actually connect your repo first to ensure that you get a gist of how this works. So you'll go to this connection wizard, you will select your repos, then you will connect your application path at which you would like to look for changes. Then you will add the secrets. You'll copy the secret and save it in your GitHub settings. Then the workflow would be added, committed to your repo, and then that's it. So actually, there is documentation on this as well. Let me give you that just in case, which actually gives a little better thing for this. That is snapshot. Actually, here also it gives an overview of how to connect this. So in case you like architectural diagrams, then you can learn from here as well. But just in case. So this would be more helpful in case, and you can also see example uses and stuff. So this also is in documentation, so you can have a look here as well. And in case you have any questions, you can always ask on Slack how to go about it or any specific questions you have.
Yeah,
So
sure.
that's
You
it.
just bear it with me. Bear it with me because I'm, just dipping my first, time. So I'm a bit kind of, but yeah, I'd like to
Sure.
take it. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Okay, yeah, that's cool. Okay, so we'll move forward with our next last item that is on managing deployment and undeployment of Meshery adapter. So considering time, I'll give you a quick context of what this is. So this is the PR. So basically, Meshery as an extensible cloud native manager integrates with different projects and different open source project and cloud native tools. So Meshery actually have a first class integration with service meshes. So Meshery as of today support 10 service meshes, and for each service mesh there's an adapter. The work of these adapters is to actually extract the different functionalities and expose them to Meshery so that Meshery can do different stuff like installation or uninstallation of. Let me also show you side by side. So installation, like managing the life cycle of service meshes, installing their sample applications, uninstalling them, or applying any mesh configuration that you have specific configuration. So you can apply your JSON directly from here, and even validating your service meshes or any custom configuration you have. Similarly, all the add-ons, most well-known add-ons are also like brought directly into the Meshery. Like you can directly install Grafana, Prometheus, Kiali just from this UI. So how this is being done is that there is a Meshery istio adapter. So let me also open the repo so that it's a little clear. Okay. This. So under Meshery org, you'll see a repo Meshery istio. Similarly, there's other repo for other adapters. So Meshery istio, this repo is basically a very small program which is about an adapter which runs as a gRPC program. It actually talks to Meshery server through gRPC calls. And the work of this adapter is like exposing all these functionalities of the service mesh, istio service mesh, and that's it. And so the ask in this issue is that so far, so far Meshery adapters actually used to come pre-configured. That is like you weren't allowed to deploy, run deploy, manage the life cycle of the adapters itself. You could just manage the life cycle of service meshes. But now with this PR, you can actually manage the life cycle of adapters itself. Like you can deploy or undeploy adapters in Kubernetes environment. At the same time, you can do the same in Docker environment as well. So what this does is that if after this PR, you go to your settings. Actually, I'm running the specific image on this environment. So if I go to settings, I go to adapters. So what you can do is that you can actually choose which adapter you'd like to install. And let's say I would like to install Kuma because Kuma is not installed currently. and I click deploy. So what would happen is that internally, Meshery actually have a Meshery uses Helm operator. So what it does is that internally it will upgrade the Meshery release, as you can see. It will upgrade the release and install the Meshery Kuma adapter as a new pod. Currently, I'm running, as you can see, currently I'm running console, Istio, and Linkerd. But currently, Kuma service mesh adapter was installed, and it shouldn't be, hopefully it's visible now. So this adapter was deployed ad hoc in an ad hoc way, and you can similarly uninstall them as well. So before this PR, it wasn't any choice of deploying and undeploying, but after this PR, you can do that. And so yes, this is about that PR, and you can do connectivity tests as well, whether your Meshery server can talk to this adapter or not. So when I click on these chips, what it does is Meshery send a gRPC call to these adapters, and then adapter responds back and receive this. The adapter was being able to ping from this Meshery's server. And I can also uninstall them. So if I could quickly, let's say I want to uninstall Linkerd and I click on deploy. So now what we'll do is that it will again use Meshery's Helm chart, apply specific override for this Linkerd subchart. So like I'm talking about too many things. Like Meshery actually have Helm chart, which it uses for installation and uninstallation. And under Meshery's chart, there is a subchart for each of these adapters. So when we do uninstall, then it will actually override the values and do the uninstallation. So in case you want to know more, then I'll request everyone to check out my PR and run in their environment. So that's about this change. So anybody have any questions on this? One of the main asks for this issue was that earlier Meshery, when it used to ship for any user, it used to have a very large size. The size of the image, the size of the base size of the using for any user was quite large. And for a given user, it's not necessary that they would need to manage their service meshes. So the ask was to reduce that size by giving this option. So yes, that's about this. Any question on this? We already, yeah.
Yeah, I have a question. Like, does will it have an effect on machine security? Like, if you say Docker compose file from downloads it from downloads the adapter.
Yeah. Actually, your voice got cut off. Can you please repeat?
So yeah, I was saying like the Docker compose file that you have shown in this PR. So in Meshery CTL, when we do Meshery CTL systems start, uh, it downloads the Docker compose file and
Yeah.
starts the Meshery server and all the adapters. So this will this affect the Meshery security in any case?
Yeah, you would have to make a specific change where if you are already not using this Meshery adapter tracker interface, then you should use that because that actually tracks all the metadata for each adapter. So you wouldn't have to like look out just for Docker Compose. So you will actually like to have a dynamic logic for it. So you don't rely just on Docker Compose because anybody can change Docker Compose, right? So you don't have to rely on that.
Yeah.
So if you could go to this link, then go. So if you have more questions, then we can take up on Slack. And I think that's it for today. So we already covered all the topics and we all learned something new today. So if that's all for today, and if you
Hello,
have any more questions, any more doubts, yes.
Can I also work on these test cases which are mentioned on the spreadsheets?
Yeah, definitely you can. Whichever test like that, whichever test you like to work on, you can create a new issue on Meshery repo, and then you can just ping on Slack. Then any of the maintainers will assign you that issue.
So can you help me that how can I understand better of this particular test cases? Actually, I have to understand this to work on that.
Yeah. If you have any specific questions, you can ask on the Slack or on the Discuss forum. So we'll ensure that all your queries are answered.
Sorry, which channel is or thread we ask question on? Because there are so many on this Slack channel.
Yeah, that's good. Actually, you can, if it's related to Meshery, then you can ask on Meshery specific channel. Or in case you want to talk about Meshery CTL, then you can ask. So there's specific channel for different use case. Currently, we're talking about CI, so you can talk on Meshery CI channel. There's a channel for that as well.
I've loaded,
Mhm.
layer 5 on my Slack, so it's not what I've taken. What I've taken, which channel is that? Is it on Meshery?
Yeah,
I've taken,
it's
the
are
GitHub
you
action. Yeah.
okay? GitHub, yeah, you can talk about that on Meshery CI channel.
Meshery CI
I'll
channel.
put
Yeah,
I'll
if
put
there
on the
is a
chat.
link, please, so I can get the channel on my Slack. Thank you.
Sure, definitely.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'll put. Once you join this channel, once you join this workspace, then you'll see a channel Meshery CI, and there you can ask any other question. There are more maintainers who would be happy to. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm already trying it. Thank you so much.
Great. Welcome. So,
Excuse
yep.
Pranav. Yeah, so I had a question regarding the mesh map snapshot issue. So what is happening is when I'm setting it up on my personal repo, it's the workflow is failing due to some reason, and there's an open issue about it. But the when it's the workflow is implemented in the Meshery repo, the snapshots are so is the workflow failing in that, or is it working in are the snapshots working instead of the the workflow failing?
No, because I don't think Snap workflow is failing, because if we see latest PRs, we are seeing the snapshots coming in. So as you can see, it was just commented 2 hours back. So probably there is a connectivity issue in your repo, or probably there is secrets issue. So if that's the case, you can probably raise that in the CI channel, and I'll look into that right after the call.
I think there's already an open issue on the mesh map snapshots repo regarding this.
Okay. I don't think there should be an issue. This is just, if you're talking about this is an extra functionality for showing relationships. Are you talking about this? Which one? This?
Yep.
Yeah, it was already fixed. See, the thing is that it was fixed because if we see right now, this is from last week, right? So it already fixed, because if we see the latest run, it's working fine. This was just commented 2 hours back. It could be an old issue that we forgot to close, so that's a separate thing. I don't think there's any issue. But I'll confirm once again.
Okay.
Okay.
So, Pranav, before you go, still I've got a question for you. So the GitHub action YAML has to go everywhere? Because I'm not really familiar with that. I'm trying, to help and learn at the same time.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, the YAML will go into .github directory inside of workflows subdirectory. So you will create this, let me show you. So you'll create this thing, meshmap.yaml, and let me give you the link for that.
I found that one, but I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah. So what the thing which you have to do is you have to configure it. So basically you'll have to add the directory which it should be looking for. If you see, first of all, you need to add the token. the provider token, this would be auto added from the environment. And what we are looking for is Kubernetes manifest. And over here, you will see the file paths. So basically, this is the relative part to which this workflow would be listening for on any change. So currently looking for this install deployment YAML creates folder. And in that, if any PR is there on this specific folder, then it will create a snapshot of that whole directory to a visual interface. So for different repo, there would be different, the placeholder for these YAML would be different. So you'll have to actually give a little thought on that. But you can yeah. So if you have any question on this other repo, like if you can start with, I think Meshery Istio, because that is one of the adapters of Meshery. Let's see. If we go to Meshery Istio, and you'll see under there is a place where we store all the manifest and let's say if we are talking about this. So whenever a change would be there for this specific design, then it would be added as a new screenshot in the comment. That's another example.
I think, yeah, I think to avoid any kind of confusion here, would somebody volunteer, just to walk me through like what's, or probably, just a walkthrough really. So I can let you go of this meeting. We've been for longer now. And then obviously, I asked all my questions. I don't think the end of this session I've got a lot of questions now. So yeah, if somebody volunteers, if somebody knows about it, could you please help here? Just as I can kickstart, and then I will know what to do after that. Everybody hears me here. Anybody? Or probably work with me on this issue. I'll be more than happy.
Yeah. Actually, one quick thing we can do is that if you can start on one of your repos to get more familiarized with this. So have you gone to this?
I already,
link?
yeah. Already gone on
so
that.
Did you get?
So I'm almost there. Yeah, it's one of the window. As soon as we finish the call, I'm going to finish that one off, and I will have a look at all the configuration of the YAML, the .yaml, and try to any documentation as well. Probably read through if I can understand.
Yeah.
So and then
Meshery CI channel is the place you can always ask.
Yeah. So. Yeah. I'm already on it. I went on Slack on that one. So yeah, if I'll probably put on a Slack, that I need somebody, to walk me through it, and then we'll see who because not everybody is here today. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. If there are more maintainers, like they're probably working on other items. So yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. So yeah. Thank you.
Okay. So that's all for today, and we'll all meet on our next build and release, which would be 2 weeks from now, because this is a bi-weekly call. So that's all for today. Thank you all for joining, and I hope you all will do great feedback. Bye.